to get into a little Corona, one of my good friends, a great friend of the show, even when he's not on with us, he's watching, he's supporting us. He's actually in town, and Dr. John Hubert joins us right now. He's a psychologist and the chairman of Mainstream Mental Health. And I keep you close because there's nothing I need more than some help with my mental health. So thank you for always being there for me.
Absolutely. You know, I thought this close, though, at least I'd have some liquid lunch with me, but that it never arrived this morning.
All right. Well, I'm drinking Honey Jack today. I'm having a good day.
You drink it for me then, too. So.
Yeah. Hey, let's do that. So, Johnny, Dr. J has an amazing practice. Uses a lot of different methods to help people cope with all kinds of different things, some medical, some psychological. But how can people, you're just getting bombarded every day by the left-wing media telling you that, we're going to have 300,000 deaths, and if you're going to die from hydroxychloroquine and all this other stuff, that I think the mental health effects are worse than the COVID effects. How can people cope with this stuff other than shut the TV, but it still weighs on them?
Well, it's pretty disturbing. I think we're to the point where the cure is worse than the disease at this point. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I do know that suicide hotlines their calls are up over 600%. We know that alcohol sales are up over 400%. That those two combinations are not typically a good thing for our nation. The suicide rates are going up. And then all the depression, the post-traumatic stress, everything associated with this, the anxiety, people now are stressing over, kids going to school. So one of the best things they can do is to take a break. And if you have to have your COVID checkup, check in, give yourself 30 minutes. And that's all the news time you should take for this, honestly, because what happens is your body goes into a fight or flight mechanism, and it exacerbates all the other psychological issues that are coming on, because when you watch it 24/7, your body never gets a chance to recuperate, back down, and kind of pull itself back together and deal with the stress. So your corticosteroids are up, and on top of that, because we're social or anti-social distancing, people aren't getting the neurotransmitter connections that we normally get with people, the oxytocin, the norepinephrine, the serotonin, just from having that face-to-face contact with each other.
So what I'm hearing from that is when you say the cure is worse than the virus, meaning the cure, keeping everybody locked in, keeping businesses closed, people are not getting their jobs back because their businesses have no money. The cure, meaning keeping this lockdown going, is a lot worse than the actual disease. And look, 150,000 people dead is a lot. It's not great to hear.
Absolutely.
But at the end of all days, it's like 0.5% of America, less than 0.5% of all of America. 80% of the people that have perished from this terrible disease were over 70 years old. They had multiple underlying conditions. And the young people, Doc, I'll just give you one anecdotal example. I asked my son, I said, I'm on TV every day raging that kids got to go back to school and, we need to get back to life. They need their social interactions and stuff. I said, I'm doing it every day, but tell me, son, do you want to go back to school or do you like doing school at home, And my son said, Dad, go on there and tell them that I'm getting dumber being schooled at home. And he wasn't, saying he's dumb. He's just saying that, they give you the work in the morning, you have all day to complete it. You can Google things, and you're distracted. And he was just saying, for a kid, and kids these days, they barely even talk with words. For a kid to say, I'm getting dumber, there's something weighing on their brain already that they don't feel like they're getting the development that they really want. For a kid to say that.
They're not. I mean, the research shows that there's a certain segment of our society that online learning is amazing for. But for the average person, they need that human contact. They need that instruction. They need to be able to raise their hand and go, I'm not quite getting this. And have the teacher come over there and give them alternative ways to process. And that's part of human condition. It's not part of something you're going to get online. And he is right. And it's going to hurt us. We're going to be looking at this 15 years down the road when people are going out into the job market. You also have to look at, when I said the cure is worse than the disease, the CDC itself says for every 1% of unemployment, we lose 40 to 60,000 people a year because of lowered situation. They don't have access to good food, to good shelter, to proper medical care, daily maintenance medicine like blood pressure medications and things like that. We're at up over 16%. So that's pushing what? We're getting close to 60 or 600,000 deaths because of the cure, just looking at their own data. And like you said, we're pushing 150, 200,000 people on this. Tuberculosis last year had 1.5 million. So, we didn't panic over tuberculosis. And now that's a worldwide number, but still, it's here in this country. I see it in my hospitals all the time. And it's ridiculous. We need to start taking care of our healthy citizens so that they can develop a healthy environment. And part of that is the psychological side of this. We have to be respectful, but not panic.
No doubt about it. Dr. J, as I mentioned, is the chairman of Mainstream Mental Health. And there's no better example of a deteriorating state of mental health than presidential candidate Joe Biden. And I don't, this guy, he has more foot and mouth than foot and mouth disease. But it sure looks to me, John, like he is in a really rapidly decaying mental state.
Well, I'm concerned. Now, I've never assessed him. I don't have any psychological data, and that's usually what I go by. When somebody asks me how somebody's doing, it's like, well, let's get them in here and let me test them and give them a psychological battery and stuff. But when we look at things, we know it's going on. Stress causes cognitive decline. And if he's being stressed out during this point, he hadn't even had a debate yet. My concern is what's going to happen when he hits the world stage and all of a sudden he is the leader. We can say all we want about, Donald Trump not being couth, but the fact is he appears to have his faculties with him and he gives a good response, whether we like how he says that or not. And I'm concerned when we have simple questions asked by people who like Joe Biden and he stumbles and can't give a good answer. That scares me as a human being. Forget being a mental health practitioner.
So yesterday, 2 days ago, he made some crazy comment that, there's a tremendous amount of diversity in the Latino community. And he compared it to how there isn't diversity in the African American community. And I'm just thinking like, you know me, I let my mouth fly sometimes. Right. I say it like it is. But I think any sane, rational person who is trying to win over African American votes would have the cognitive strength to know I shouldn't say this. And to say that Latinos have a diverse community and African Americans don't, to me, it's just another feather in the cap of, mental acuity being tremendously diminished.
Well, at the very, very least, it's racial insensitivity and maybe outright racism in that whole situation. Because as I know, everybody I know is diversified. Everybody's different. I don't know, even coming from the same family, you look at all these people and every one of them is different. So I don't know where he's getting his information from. It certainly wasn't from any source that I use.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing because you know what? I grew up, my family grew up in sports. My dad was, president of a local little league, president of a local Pee Wee football league. He's a high school football coach. And I remember, he always used to say, listen, don't get caught up in that. Remember this. This is what my father would say. When you're on the field and they call a timeout and they throw the bottles of water onto the field to get a sip, you got white guys, you got black guys, you got Chinese guys, you got Puerto Rican guys. Everybody drinks from the same bottle, and nothing happens. We're all alive, and we're all one team. And to say there's not diversity in one community and there isn't another one, to me, it's absolutely. I think it's more than racial insensitivity, but I'll give you that. Dr. J, thanks for joining us. When are you leaving town?
A week from today, actually, or no, a week from yesterday.
Okay.
Thursday.
All right, I saw your text. I may actually be heading out to the Hamptons to this Donald Trump fundraiser tomorrow, which I luckily got an invite to. So I'm not going to be around.
I got that too, but I didn't make a donation, so I didn't.
Yeah, I might have got a friend pass. You know what I mean? I'm going to probably be out there tomorrow, but hopefully next week we get together.
I can head that way.
Hopefully we knock down a few cocktails this week when we'll get together.
Oh, that would be awesome.